guys, Reed Goossens here coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Beautiful, beautiful, cracking day here on a Sunday morning. The sun is out, the birds are chirping. I'm here giving you some awesome weekly investing tips and advice to help you guys take your investing career to the next level. So this week, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the 4 mistakes I see newbie investors or newbie syndicators making when buying multi-family real estate. Now, the first mistake that I see, everyone can sometimes fall into this trap, and the first mistake is buying a mediocre deal. Mediocre deal meaning that it just doesn't make sense from day one. I'm a huge proponent that you make money when you buy a deal, not when you sell. You make money when you buy and not when you sell. Remember that. It has to make sense. It has to be a value add opportunity that you're going to go in there, increase the rents, reduce the operating expenses, and inherently increase the value of the property. Value and cash flow is hugely, hugely important. So mistake number 1 is buying a mediocre deal. Mistake number 2 is buying a deal that's sometimes a little bit too large. People can sometimes cut their nose off to spite their face. Now, you've got to be comfortable with the size of deal that you want to buy. It might be a 10 unit, it might be a 20 unit, it might be a 50 unit, it might be a 100 unit. Whatever it might be, you've got to think about it for a second. Take some time to think, what can I easily close on for my first deal? So think about that. First one is mistakes is buying a mediocre deal. The second one is buying a too large a deal. And if you have too large of a deal, you've got to raise more capital, right? The third mistake is a lack of time, negotiating a lack of time to raise money on the deal. There's always this chicken and egg scenario where people ask me, well, I don't have a deal, and I don't have investors. What comes first? When you're starting your first deal, it's a little bit take it as it comes. You might have a few investors interested, and they say to you, well, come to me with a deal, and then rubber will hit the road, and we'll talk more then. I typically see newbie investors, they will find a deal. They'll have maybe some guys they've been speaking to in terms of investors, and then they find the deal and they've quickly got to raise all the money in a very short period of time, and they haven't negotiated enough closing time with the seller and the broker to raise that capital. Always be negotiating between 60 and 90 days. And the second thing is that I always talk about, you always need to be raising capital even when you don't have a deal. So that's mistake number 3, is that the lack of time to raise the capital and close on the deal. The fourth mistake that I see newbie investors making is the lack of strategy. And this goes back to the first one. We talked about mediocre deal. Strategy, you've got to be very, very, very specific. Now, in my business, I look for value add. I will not buy anything that isn't value add. And I'll also be looking for in the class B minus C plus range in a blue collar sort of neighborhoods and blue collar renters. I'm not dealing with millennials, brand new construction, and some people might. That's fine, you can do that. But for my investment strategy, I look for class B minus C plus buildings in class B neighborhoods or C plus neighborhoods, and I look to try and bump it up to a B minus. And I'll always look for value add opportunities. So rents are low, operating expenses we can tweak the operating expenses, and that in turn will increase the cash flow, and increasing that cash flow will inherently increase the value of the property. So again, just to summarize, the 4 mistakes that I sometimes see newbie investors making when they first buy multifamily apartments is, first one is lack of buying a mediocre deal. The second one is that you're buying a deal that is too large, and if it's too large, you've got to raise more capital, and it leads to the third one. The more capital you've got to raise, the lack of time, and a lot of people find the deal and then got to quickly panic to raise, half $500,000, $1 million, and they can cut it short. And if you haven't negotiated a long enough period of time with the broker, then you're not going to be able to close on the deal. And the fourth thing is making sure you have a very, very specific investment strategy. All right, guys, I hope you got a lot of awesome information out of today's little vlog. Please subscribe and click on my channel. And if you have any comments, please leave them below. I love hearing feedback from you guys because it makes me a better, host and a better person to bring you awesome investing advice. We're going to do this all again next week, guys, so take care, be safe, and remember, happy investing.